watching the neighborhood deer going down to the little pond in the park to get a drink. Well, recently I posted a question to a lot of my enthusiast friends. What was their favorite and easiest car to drive shifting without the clutch? And I was really surprised. I only got 2 answers. I got lots of people freaking out, wondering, what are you talking about, Uncle Dan? Well, you see, Uncle Dan's not just old school. Uncle Dan is old school for old school. My grandpa taught me how to drive in a 47 Chevy pickup. I soloed when I was 8. And so I'm still used to driving cars that don't have power steering, power brakes, manual gearbox, sometimes not even synchronized. So I'm going to show you how to shift without using the clutch. It does not involve any grinding, any clanking, jerking, or anything like that. If that's happening, then you're either doing it wrong or you've got a really bad car for shifting without the clutch. That said, this is a 2020 ND model, MX-5, and this is the most difficult car to shift without the clutch that I've ever seen. And I've had at least 3 cars that were actually easier to shift without the clutch than with the clutch. Now here's what the deal is. I just parked, I got the emergency brake on, there's no pressure forward or backwards. I'm going to push the clutch in and I'm going to go from first to second. Now I'm in neutral. I'm releasing the clutch here. Let me point you down here more where you can see. Hopefully you can see all that. Now, I don't have the clutch in. If you'll take your gear shift and just gently move it around, you can feel the slot for neutral, and you can feel the little slots for the gears too, even though it's double spring loaded. This is the same as when you're driving. Right now we're sitting still, nothing is moving, and technically that means that all the revolutions, all the RPMs are currently matched. Now you can take it and you can put it in first gear. Can't quite put it in second because first is where I started from, and that's how it works. See, if you just take when you're sitting still like I am with no pressure, and you can feel a little notch for first, don't push hard enough to engage it into gear. Just kind of hold it there. Imagine you're driving. You just push lightly, not enough to push it into gear. When the RPMs of the engine and the transmission side match up, it's like a little doorway opens up and it just goes right into gear. Now, why is any of this important? Well, why is anything important? I think the importance is, if you're really an enthusiast, then you feel like I do that a car should be a marionette that you operate from the inside. It should respond just like wearing a glove. When you wear a glove, you tell your index finger to do that, the glove does that. And that's how a car should be. Of course, the ECU models they've been making since 1975, whatever, they don't even get me started. Anyhow, what is important about shifting without the clutch is if you can't shift without the clutch in a car that does it, then you're not really rev matching. If you're rev matching, you can just not use the clutch and drive the same way and get away with it. If you're rev matching correctly, then you can downshift on the ice and snow without worrying about going into a skid. The same thing if you do it in the middle of a curve, if you're not driving all out on the track. And you just get a lot better traction. It's easier on the clutch. When you can shift easily without using the clutch, then that means when you use it, you're not wearing anything at all out And basically the clutch is just a safety net thing in case you miss it. Now, I don't know if you can see the deer down here, but it's been pretty entertaining playing down by the pond. So let's fire it up and go do a little demonstration here. Good place to go is the residential area where the speed limit's low, no cars out. Focus, take your time. You don't have to grind the gears to learn how to do this. Now, here we go. A little click. Like I said, this in 2020 ND is not at all easy to shift without the clutch. Now, when you come to the stop, you can't just pull it into neutral as you ease off the gas pedal. Now, if you let off the gas pedal before, it's gonna stay locked in position. And you see, that time I managed to pull it off, no click, no jerk, nothing. There's no wear when you do that. Everything's fine. Now let's see if I can go down. Down is the hard part in this ND. There we go. There we go. I had a stroke a year ago on the right side, so I've had to kind of practice myself. And so, like I said, once you get your rev matching down, where you can drive without the clutch, then your rev matching is correct. And that is the deal about driving without the clutch. So hopefully you'll practice this. Now, like I said, I do not recommend trying it in one of these ND model MX-5 because it is not easy. I don't want any of you guys to be out there grinding your gearboxes or anything like that. If you've got another car, some manual gearbox, especially if it's an older one, because I find the older ones are easier to shift without the clutch. I suggest you get out and give it a little practice. It'll improve your rev matching, and you'll be glad you did. Now, I'll leave you on for a minute just so you can look over here at the mountain on the way. I learned to shift without the clutch because when my grandpa taught me how to drive, I had too much trouble double clutching to downshift because I had to shift my hips. So he just showed me how to do it without the clutch. These urban deer, they understand traffic really well. You just got to give them a little bit of time so they can be sure that you're not about to take off and run over them. Okay, I'll give you a little slow motion recap while we're in the parking lot here. Moving along, get ready, apply a slight pressure on the shifts. When you let off the gas pedal, it popped right into neutral. Now I'm going too slow. And then same thing. To go into gear, pull it slightly, don't push it into gear. Now, when the ribs are right, there we go. It slides right in.